So good morning, good morning. I am so excited about being here today, as I always am, because these morning sessions have been such a blessing to me in my life. And so I want to welcome you and give me one second. Give me one second. That's one of those things that Zoom does is it has this little delayed loop from when I start talking to when you actually hear it. So it kind of catches up. So anyway, I'm excited about today and to speak to you today. And I do have Stephanie with me, but Stephanie is, of course, already working and she will be popping in and out. I will be short today because I actually have a training that I am doing today. And believe it or not, when I originally scheduled it, it was an 8:30 call. So, well, it's going to be on GoToMeeting. And so I am excited about doing that as well right after I get finished talking to you guys. So I am trying to just simply be present in the moment and recognize that there is a wonderful opportunity for us right here and right now to share. Yesterday, the verdict came out and Chauvin is found guilty, and I'm excited, right? I am grateful. I am elated that he was found guilty on all counts. But does that go far enough? We still need comprehensive reform in this country so that this is not the order of the day. But let me say this too, because Monday I came on here crying because over the weekend, I had two cousins to be killed. One was killed on the roadside in Mississippi, um, mowed down by a truck. And no, I'm not trying to put any malicious intent behind that at all, just circumstances. And a senseless murder of a 20-year-old right here in Cleveland, I'll say within a quarter mile of my house. Um, just an amazing kid, amazing young man at 20 years old. He was shooting video and killed in broad daylight in the middle of the day. And the family is devastated, as you well know. And so there is so much for our country as a whole to deal with. And the interesting thing about it is that we don't see how all of this is tied together. We don't understand the systemic issues within our society that makes these all too common occurrences real. And while we try to tout ourselves as this advanced country, we still have circulating within the veins of this nation poison that must be at some point addressed and cured. And that takes all of us. It takes all hands on deck. We can look at our body systems. This is the wonderful thing about going through this book, Anatomy of the Spirit, that we are going through. We could take our body, our physical beings, and take this as a microcosm of the world scheme, macrocosm, and see the correlations and how they exist throughout that. If you are taking in things, poison, if you are taking in toxicity from your television screen, from the foods you eat, if you are taking toxicity in your system, at some point you are going to have system breakdown or system failure. You are not going to be able to operate at your optimum, given what you're giving your attention to and what you're feeding yourself on a daily basis, what the conditions under which you live. The same stress that you experience in your body, we also experience in our community. These things are not like separate. So we can look at the systems and see that it is the problem of the systems that need to be brought into alignment so that we can experience the very best that that life has to offer for all of us. And so injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You know, I can give you all the quotes. We know them to be true. And until we begin to do some work behind that, some comprehensive work behind it, then we will continue to experience what we are experiencing right here and right now. And for us to be the people of the period, you know, there is this thing of, and I get it, right? I get it that sometimes we are caught in overwhelm. We go and our days become filled with, you know, run here, go there, work, and many of us define our evening hours or after work hours as times of leisure, when we take in or sit back behind the television and allow ourselves to listen to whatever drama is unfolding in a way to relax us, right? And so, you know, there's this tendency to be overwhelmed by life in general and not feel as if we have sufficient time for ourselves to recoup, to decompress, to do whatever that may mean. And so what happens is that the time that we have to really engage in this thing called life is really minuscule. But here's what I would say to you, because one of the things that we see is historically, we know that that has not always been the case, but historically, we have not had so many things of mass distraction that we have today. People were not sitting in front of the TV all day. They were going into the city center to discuss politics or to look at what could be done if we were to form a more perfect union. They were out really trying to rally people around issues and ideas, not lull them to sleep with a cell phone or to somehow, you know, dull our senses by giving us a phone, a device that we have in our hand, to the point where we no longer have to think, not about numbers, not about, you know, not about looking at the weather. I mean, this is crazy, isn't it? So we had we had a guilty verdict yesterday and snow this morning, on top of all of these leaves, which caused extra pressure on the trees. Isn't it amazing how all this stuff works? And so now we have trees down, branches down, all kinds of heaviness. My tulips, what happened to my tulips? I haven't even been out yet. But we have so many things that are going on right here and right now. And so we are distracted from what we could be doing. How do we get to a point where we begin to do the real work that it takes to, in order to get our system to a place where we can all participate in a way that makes us all feel loved and welcomed and accepted and all those wonderful good things? How do we get there? And so when we are dealing with these systems just in our body system, it's amazing because it really has us to refocus our attention in on what we could be doing, right? And here's the wonderful thing for me. Because I have started this being a part of the 5 a.m. group, whether it is the writing portion or the wake up portion, wake up and work out and journal and meditate and do all of those things, because I have changed myself and my life in that way. I realized that there is so much more that is possible for me on a daily basis because I have upset the system of the regular. I don't know when the last time was that I actually watched a television program. Sure, I'm reading. I am doing the books like I normally do. I am still feeding my mind, but without the added distraction of watching a television program. When I turn on my TV, it is usually to watch something that is enlightening and uplifting, which could be something that I'm finding on YouTube or some other venue within the television, within the realm of the television, but not letting that distract me from what is at hand. So I would encourage you, if you are at all about the business of helping to shape, helping to fashion a world that works for everybody, to really just consider what it is that you do with your time in the course of the day. And to consider that maybe there might be a concerted effort to redirect your energy into something that does not uplift and serve. One of the things that I found interesting is in all the reading and studying I do, especially around diversity issues and inclusion issues, is that, at one point they did have all these things that we called the ghetto, right? Or they called it the projects. And you know what? I just get on here and start talking and don't even realize that I need to change some of the parameters on this thing, because the way that they have this newly set up is that it comes in at a particular way. Zoom goes into your Facebook in a particular way. And sometimes I would look up and it would say that it was broadcasting to me only. And it's like, what's the point in even broadcasting if I'm the only one that sees it? Well, you guys, some of the test videos that I have put up, I'm so glad that you couldn't see them, because I'm sitting up there just testing out what things look like. So it's good that you don't see them all. But the reality of it is now that this is set up the way it is, I do have to go in and change some of the stuff so that I can make sure that people are able to see the video and not just me alone seeing the video. So there, I think I have done that. Let me see if I can do anything else right here. Nope. That is all I can do at this point. And so, yeah. But so I'm saying all that because all right. So I'm saying all that because when we start studying this anatomy, and I am saying that micro anatomy, your anatomy is the micro of the macro, that the same things that you see within your body is the same things that we see everywhere, whether we are talking about in the world, the systems and how they connect, the veins, where's the heartbeat, all of that stuff, we can see it out pictured in society in general. So we go from these these governing things, what governs your actions, what governs our government. All of these things are kind of copies of systems of systems, all of that stuff. And so it's really amazing when you consider the possibility that there is another way of seeing. So I want to share with you today, because I'm doing a pivot, so to speak, from where we have been into some different ideas within this same book. or within the same notion. And we are pivoting to this idea of an energetic system. And so when you start to think about it um, in a different type of way, when you learn about it as a system, one of the things that we talk about when we talk about, I like to talk about cars and machinery, different things like that. And when you look at it, most things, especially when it's working right, it is working and operating in a closed system. And so that closed system, because it is closed, it allows circulation to happen, just like in our body, just like in our veins. If you put a cut or a puncture somewhere in your system, you begin to lose the very fluid or the juice that causes all of this stuff to work correctly. And so it becomes this thing. If your car has a break in whether it's in the brake line or in the engine or some kind of seepage or a seal that is, somehow broken, or a belt that is not working, because it is a closed system, when something is out of alignment, it will not work either. Everything sort of operates off of this same thing. When you were in school and you learned about nature, there is a closed system. Even though you don't see it as closed, it works in that way. The rain that comes down, it waters the stuff. There is a steam that comes up and it goes back up. That is the cloud. It comes down. It's a closed system. It goes in that type of circular way, just like everything else. The interesting thing is that somewhere along the line, if a puncture comes in, then stuff starts to break down. Usually when it comes down to our energy, because that energy is not something that we can see or trace, it is not that there is a puncture that goes in, but rather a willing relinquishment of power into something else that causes ailments to come up. So with the analogy, I talk so fast when Stephanie is not with me. let me slow down. So with the analogy that I used around this of us receiving 100 watts of energy into our system, with that analogy, we get in 100 watts of power. But then if we are giving out 20 watts or 40 watts to the past, if we are giving away energy to people in the midst of conversations. Let me give you a for instance. The other day I was having a conversation, and I was having a conversation with someone who near and dear to me, but it was a rather intense conversation. So when I walked in on that particular day on the conversation, I was feeling like I was up, I was animated, I was happy, and all things were good. And then in the midst of the conversation, you feel somehow demeaned, accused, you feel a particular type of way. And those feelings then can take you and ratchet your energy down, as if someone is then wrestling for your energy and may or may not be winning depending upon what it is that you do. So a lot of times what we do is rather than address what is happening, that there is a energy loss that is going on, what we do is instead of trying to recoup that, we basically walk around with, okay, I've left that 30% there, and we walk away from it without really realizing how to regenerate that. So if you look at everything that you do as an energy exchange, what it does is it causes you to show up differently, and make different choices about what you not only expose yourself to, right? Because sometimes we can We can watch television programs that leave us feeling exhausted, drained, depleted. We can we can be in relationships that cause us to feel drained, depleted, and not enlivened. We can work on jobs that make us feel as if we are drained and depleted. We go to churches that we come out feeling worse when we came out than when we walked in the door. We can have all types of situations over and over again. When we pay our bills, we feel drained and depleted. When we do things that we feel as though we are required to do. Parents get caught up in this all the time, feeling depleted and drained simply by the requirements that are placed upon the care and the maintenance of families. And I know that nobody likes to admit that these things can be draining and depleting. But until we have figured out that there are ways of replenishing ourselves, we get caught up in walking around feeling as if we're operating on 20 watts of power when we are really 100-watt beings. And so now what do? So one of the things that Carolyn says in this book, Anatomy of the Spirit, is when a person seeks to see more, healing is inevitable, right? So when you become more conscious about how you are expending or losing power, energy from out of your body, out of your system, that thing that makes you feel as if you are powerful and operating at 100%. I was just talking to a friend of mine who was talking about some of the medication that she takes, and she says that it makes her really fuzzy in the head to the point where she can't concentrate. And so the only way that she can really focus in or retain information or do something that that she needs to, when she needs to have her wits about her, is that she comes off of the medication. Coming off of the medication, she says, is really dangerous for her system. But in order for her to really get something, then that is part of what is required, is for her to come off of the medication. We have to begin to look at everything that we do in terms of what is costing us, because everything we do is costing us something. So she says, but you need an internal method of absorbing the information to make it feel real for you. And so she says, first and foremost, focus your attention on learning to interpret your life's challenges symbolically. So find a meaning in your challenges, right? And this is a good one for me. So think and feel, how they connect to your health. Bring your attention every day to the challenges you face and how your mind and spirit responds to them. Observe what causes you to lose power and where you feel the loss. Evaluate the spiritual and biological activities that occur as a consequence. So which is just what I just said, right? And so when we learn how to do that on a regular basis, how to evaluate what it is that costs us something. And here's the thing, because one of the things she says to us is there is no small choice, right? Whatever choices we make is really a choice to either enliven us and lift us, or to deplete us. There are no small choices. So the choice to do something that you are not enlivened by, the choice to participate in things that are ethically not within your, within where you want to be. When you continuously ignore things that are not serving you and lifting you, even those things become a poison that you are taking into your system and can have repercussions in your body, right? And sometimes we do things thinking that we're meaning well, right? I know for me, I have this what do I say? I have this interesting way of showing up in the world. And one of the things that and I'll tell you a little bit about maybe why I do that. I don't have a lot of time because I'm ending early today. If I didn't tell you that, I'm ending at 8 o'clock because I've got a training to do after this. So just in case you didn't hear that up front. And Stephanie is on the line, but she is on the line. So she is actually working. So she's kind of off camera right now. But here's one of the things that I remember in college. Before I went to college, I was one of those that I used to hear conversations going on around me and not feel confident enough to engage in the conversation because one, I didn't feel as though I was what do I want to say? I didn't feel as though I had the intellect to contribute to a conversation. I constantly questioned what I thought. Even when I got into a room, when I started going to college, when I first went, I was involved in some kind of a student organization or some kind of thing where they brought a bunch of professors and students together to work on an issue on the college level or on the campus. And I remember sitting in the room and I was so quiet. I was just sitting there because I learned growing up this thing I would hear constantly adults say, it's better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So I would sit there quiet, right? And I would sit there and I was thinking to myself, these idiots, like, are they running a college? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, why is nobody speaking to the elephant in the room? It's as if they talk all around the problem, but nobody was addressing the problem. And because I didn't feel secure in my voice, I shut up. I wasn't saying anything. So I finally thought to myself, well, who is the bigger idiot here? Is it me for not saying something because I'm scared that I might not conjugate my verb correctly? Or is it them for throwing out these idiot things and not saying what it is that needs to be said? And then I got so frustrated with the direction of the meeting that I finally spoke up. And it was as if, the sun opened up and the clouds part. Oh, it was one of those moments. And I thought to myself, like, damn it. And I just left it on the table, just like that. Damn it, like, you blockheads, you done had me spend all this time listening to this ludicrous stuff that we could have been through and solved a long time ago had somebody else just had the audacity to say it. And finally, I just said it because I couldn't take it anymore. Oh, so, so from then on, I started finding my voice. I started thinking to myself, if I just got caught up in how they would judge me about the ideas that I had or the way that I said them, if I got caught up in that, I would have effectively allowed somebody else, the they that we can't even put a finger on, to define how I show up in the world and to silence my voice. They didn't even have to do it because I was doing it because I was scared. I was scared of their opinions. So then I started getting to a point where I started thinking to myself, if I'm in the room for a purpose. I'm not here just to, be a wallflower or to look cute. I am in here for a purpose. And so I started getting to the point where I'm going to now, even if I do in my imperfect way, I'm going to start speaking up, which is what I did. I started getting to the point where you couldn't shut me up, right? It was one of those things that, I'm like, I'm going to say what I got to say. You're going to hear what I got to say, whether you like what I got to say or not, because I'm in the room. in the room, in that, in the, what is that? Oh, can't even call its name. In the Hamilton thing, people talking about, I want to be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens. And then you get in the room where it happens and you don't speak up. How do you do that? Right. And so now I found my voice. So I'm taking a class at a certain point by a Dr. Clark. I put him out on Front Street. I don't know where Dr. Clark is these days, but Dr. Clark was a English professor that the university had brought in, and they brought him in from, he was originally from Louisiana and was proud of the fact that he was Creole, and had to tell us about what it meant to be Creole. And this was all before Katrina and all of that stuff, but he had to tell us about the richness of the culture. And yay, hey, Tommy. He had to tell us about all of this stuff. And so, it was, I was listening to this. And I remember sitting in this class, and he said in the midst of the class, right? Now, it's a class on Black literature. There are grad students that are in the back of the class that were white, that were auditing the class for credit towards whatever advanced degree that they were going towards. But then you got all of these undergrads that were all Black that were taking this class on Black literature. And we are sitting there and we're listening to him. And okay, so Stephanie said that she's really busy and she's unable to get on because of her some issues with her headphones, or not being able to do both computers at the same time. So she's gonna exit or not be here. Anyway, so Dr. Clark is, he's up there and he's got all of these people and all of this attention, and, he's going through and he's always pontificating and he's feeling himself every class, and with good reason. I mean, he was sharp, he used to hand out Clark bars. I mean, come on, who does that, right? He used to hand out Clark bars like, oh, I'm Dr. Clark. Anyway, one day he's sitting up there and he's, he had this way of sucking his teeth and smiling as he's making some kind of point. And we were reading some rather deep stuff, right? Whether it was Amri Baraka or, just Nikki Giovanni, everybody, we were just kind of like making our way. And so at a certain point, he stands in front of the class, because all of these people, I'm looking at them, right? Because I got a thing about, even though I sit in the front all the time, I got a thing about turning around to look at people to see if they're paying attention or how they're feeling about the work. And so all of these people are just mesmerized by this Dr. Clark. I, on the other hand, used to stay after class so I could argue with them every day, because that was just my nature. So one day I'm sitting in there and everybody is, all mesmerized by this man, and I'm listening to him and I'm taking notes here and there. And then he says this thing about, he says, I just don't get it. He says, people have to understand the way that this system works. He says, if you want to have some advantages in life, if you want to have a better life, he says, what you need to do is marry white or as close to white as you can. And all of a sudden, I heard my hands hit the desk, and I pushed myself straight up, and I got in his face, because I thought to myself, just because you got a PhD behind your name, you owe us to come better than that bullshit you giving us. Excuse me for saying it like that, but you owe us to come better than that. The thing is not to try to figure out how to exist in a system that is corrupt and ugly and at its core got issues. It's how do we then change the system so that the system works for everybody, not trying to. And so I was just like, and for me, that was one of those defining moments. It was a defining moment, not only for me, but for every student that was in that class. Because just because you got a PhD and maybe have written a book does not mean that we have to listen to this BS and swallow it hook, line, and sinker without ever questioning it. I remember a friend of mine's, Vicky, who is on here and is also in ministry now. One time Vicky was telling me, she was like, it was in college that she said that she really found her voice because of the audacity to which I brought in to the conversations that were being had. You were not, I've started getting the feeling, I go from this person who was sitting over in the corner being quiet and not sure of herself to really finding my voice and then making sure everybody else heard it too. I was a philosophy major, but all of this goes into this notion about what we do. If you are not living out your truth will eat you from the inside out. I'm hoping you hear me, because when we walk around, if you are meant to soar, right? If you're meant to be an eagle, but you over there pecking in a chicken coop, then the person who is really doing you a disservice is you for actually standing. It is okay. Thank you, Alexa. It is not your responsibility to play humble and play small in the world. Thank you. Didn't I say thank you? It's not your responsibility to play small in the world. It is your responsibility to fill out the potentiality that you have within you. And so when you do not, that causes some stuff to happen in your body. You make yourself sick because you've got all of this within you, all of this intelligence, all of this mind, all of this heart, all of this passion, and you are not flowing it into the world. Then that causes you to have an implosion. That causes you to be sick. As a matter of fact, that causes more problems than it's worth. So figure out what that means for you, right? Whatever that means. I got alarms going off all over the place over here, and it's because I gotta go. I gotta go. So y'all, I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow I have my appointment happens later. I got a noon training tomorrow. So today is at 8:30. So I really have to get off of here and get myself all set up. Today is on go to meeting. And so I don't have to be on camera, but I do have to be here, and I got to talk, and I need to get my voice. I need to get some tea, and tea makes me pee. But I'm going to have some tea and sit here and do my next session. So yay! I'm so glad that I had a chance to talk to you guys. Love you. And I will see you here tomorrow. Same time, same place, and all is well. Blessings to Stephanie for at least being on the line. And I'll see you guys, tomorrow. All right. Thanks for being here. And I got to go. All right. Oh, the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Go forth and have an amazing day. All right. All right. This thing, I don't know that I'm off yet because I got a spinning wheel that's saying, yeah, not yet, not yet, not yet. All right, come on, it's going to end any second. I got to delete some of these slides out of my PowerPoint because it seems like, I always try to have a certain amount of slides for the time that I have. So I've got way more than I need to have for this. And I hate to just okay, skip. I don't like to do that. I like to just take them out. and yeah, take them out. And if I take them out, then that works better, so that they're not wondering, well, what is she not saying? All right. But this thing is not cooperating with me. It is not going offline. Okay. All right. So I guess you can look at me. Look at me. Anyway. And then tomorrow I will, in this Anatomy of Spirit, I will we'll still be in the section on how we flow our energy, how we flow